my personal interpretation of UFOs is that there are entities that are already here.
Hmm.
It's not like people from other planets.
Okay.
Like angels, demons, extraterrestrials, they're like that's the same thing. It's one of
Yeah,
the
like Jacques Vallée's version of it.
yes,
You're
like
familiar with him?
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Like these are things that are among us but not quite.
Welcome to What's My Thesis. I'm Javier Proenza, and today my guest is Mary Sabo, and we are live from Las Vegas. I mean, I guess we're not live, but we are currently, as we record, live.
We are alive.
We are alive, yeah, and breathing. Man, I was there for the LA fires, and I was just watching them doom scrolling. So I missed the entire trauma that people in LA went through.
Yeah.
But it was nice. We met at a reading for a book that I really enjoyed. It was, what's the name?
Vera Blossom?
Blossom. Okay.
Yeah.
Blossom, like the TV show from the 90s?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sure she loves that.
I'm sure. Yeah. She's like, yeah.
Yes. No, that was very cool. She writes.
Yeah.
She writes a newsletter, and then she made it into a book, and it's called "How Girls." What is it?
How to fuck like a girl.
How to fuck like a girl. I'm glad I
Yeah.
asked instead of trying to just throw an F-bomb out there.
It was fun though because I went to high school with her.
Oh, really?
And as I was reading the essays, I was like, "Oh, I remember this stuff." It's like a lot of like people mentioned, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember that person."
Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Nice.
No, it was really good. It was what's it called? Brent is the one who invited me to that, and we had plans to
Yeah.
go do something the other day. I completely flaked on him in like the worst way because I was just so burnt. Thank you for giving me.
I mean, I'm a big flaker. I'm a big
Yeah.
proponent of flaking.
Yeah,
I
so
hate when other people do it to me, but sometimes I understand. Like, you know,
I kind of like it when
just-
other people do it
honestly, yeah. Like,
because then I get to stay home. It's like
Sometimes,
I have a whole afternoon.
like, oh no, I can't. You don't want to do that thing. Oh, shoot.
I get
Oh,
to
man,
sit
okay.
in my couch and
Well,
watch television.
I'm like already like halfway like sitting down. Like,
Well, cool. I always start with people's origin stories. So where did you did you grow up in Vegas or you?
yes.
We said
Yeah,
off
born and
air that
raised.
you are all of Eastern Europe ethnically.
Yeah, I just did my ancestry.com DNA swab where you spit in a little tube and it's really gross and then
Yeah.
you send it in the mail. But then it came back and it was just like, yeah, Eastern Europe, just generally.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no real specifics. They're just that area,
No,
which I kind of already knew, but you know,
but those things are so like I don't know.
they're also kind of dodgy. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
is that real? And now they have my spit.
And who determines
okay.
what genes are like what I don't
It's
know.
so confusing. Yeah,
Yeah, because
It's very strange.
like mine says Southern. Or I didn't do it. My sister did it, and mine says that we're like Southern European, and I'm like, that's a really backwards way of saying like Middle Eastern.
Oh, okay. So okay, yeah.
or
European,
there's like an erasure there because like we're
Yeah.
from Spain and there's definitely a lot of that, and so
Totally.
it's just funny that doesn't show up, but like everybody thinks I'm an Arab,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, who knows? It wasn't mine; it was my sister's. But then like the fun thing, everybody was trying to figure out where the 2.5% indigenous comes from.
Yeah, right. Like which side of the family
Yeah.
and like specifically what. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I think it's just more of like
Yeah.
a parlor game. Like when you
Kind
do.
of is. Yeah, you just like pull it up and you're like, this is what my thing is. And they're like, oh, here's my thing. And then you like look at the map and you're like, okay, I still don't get it.
Yeah, it's like a Ouija board where you guys are
Yeah.
just like hanging out. All right, so
Yeah.
you're from Vegas,
Yes.
born and raised.
Born and raised. My mom is from LA.
Okay.
Dad is from Western Pennsylvania. He came here, met my mom, and they looked around at like Las Vegas in the early days, and they said, "Yeah, we should raise a family here. That's a good idea."
Well, this was the first time that I got to hang out away from the Strip. I've only ever been to the Strip, and
okay.
so it
Yeah.
was nice to hang out with you guys and check out that bookstore. What is it?
The writer's block.
The Writer's Block. That was
Yeah,
really
that place
cool.
is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was asking Brent. I was like, is like the stratosphere visible from everywhere? It like literally haunts you.
Yeah, no, for real. It's like
You
looming
can,
in the background.
yeah, I like
Well,
there was. I don't remember. There was no part of the city that I couldn't see it from that I went to.
yeah, yeah, you would have to be like on the other side of like a mountain to not see it, basically.
And like, but that's like, I remember going there when the stratosphere was like a new buzz, like early 2000. I think it was like 2001. And then I went back and I was like, oh dude, we'll go down there. And like, now it's like the bad part of the strip.
Yeah,
It's like so sketchy.
It's yeah.
And we walked, and I don't think we realized it was like 7 miles, but we were
Yeah.
fucking dead the next day.
Yeah.
We,
I hear a lot of stories about people thinking like, oh yeah, we'll just walk. And then they're like walking through like a blistering, like, summer like pavement situation. It's just so much pavement
yeah.
everywhere. And that
Yeah.
like really enhances the heat.
Yes.
So when you're walking around, you just feel like you're getting like fried.
No, it's brutal.
Not
It's
pleasant.
brutal. No, I remember like that's it. That's I keep saying that Vegas feels a lot like Miami to me, especially because of all the partying
Yeah.
that goes on there, and the I think Brent said it best when he said like consolidates vice, which we don't do have the gambling so much, but
Yeah.
the party vibes, and then listening
Yeah,
to
just
Vera.
like the good times.
Yes,
you know?
it's bored in a small town that has a lot of drugs.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not assuming that you did a bunch of drugs,
No.
but that's a fair assumption.
It's a fair assumption to make, yeah.
So, okay, so then tell me a little bit about growing up there. I kind of covered a little bit of the art scene, and obviously everybody experiences the art scenes differently, but
Yeah.
tell me about like growing up there as an artist in Vegas. How was your high school days? Like, is that where the partying started?
The partying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Actually, I was talking to a friend about like growing up in Las Vegas and being a teen here, and I think the access is a really big part of it. Like
Yeah.
you can just go, you know what I mean? Like it's there.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
anything you could ever want to do is available to you
And you know someone
if
that
you're
has
like
it.
clever and you know someone. So it's not even just like, I mean, teenagers are gonna do what teenagers do,
Yeah.
but most teenagers in other places maybe don't have the access
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
So that's kind of interesting
Is
and
there
problematic.
is you guys were saying that it was like a lot of meth is over there. Miami kind of meth.
Yeah.
I didn't even know anybody that smoked meth in Miami.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
think I know anyone. I mean, not that I know of, but it's just like a Southwestern stereotype, I guess,
yeah.
that like everyone's on meth.
What about Oxy? Is there a huge Oxy scene there?
Not as much as like,
Because Florida's the fucking
I mean, yeah, like East Coast, like, yeah, I know
Yeah.
that that's kind of the vibe over there, but I think every
Yeah,
region
yeah.
has their unique little,
yeah. That's why I'm like
little
trying to pin it
niche.
down.
It's interesting. Yeah. If you made like a map of the United States of like what, everyone's drug of choice is.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Everyone here is always on cocaine. Everyone loves cocaine too.
Yeah,
And that's like a Miami, Vegas, like,
yeah.
yeah, crossover point.
Someone told me that my accent made them want to buy cocaine from me.
Interesting. Okay.
Because my accent has still a little bit of the Miami.
Yeah,
If-
you were just very like triggering for them. They're like, oh god.
No, it was a hinge date, and she was flirting, and I was like, "Yep, that's the accent.
Like, yep.
Yep,
Me.
I'll sell you coke. I can. I'm sure I could find it. I'm
Yeah.
sure I could spot the person."
100%.
But okay, and then like high school days. When did you start
So-
realizing that you were making that art was going to be a problem for you?
I guess before high school, my parents are both creative people. They never really like discouraged me from pursuing art. They like actively encouraged it. You know, when I was younger, I was always like making something, doing something. And they were like, yeah, keep doing that. That's great.
What did they do? Were they also
My
lounge singers?
dad is no, they were not actually. My parents are hippies.
Okay.
So they didn't really fit in, which is interesting to me why they chose to settle down here. They spent like a majority of their youth just like traveling around the country.
Mhm.
Not necessarily like working that much, just kind of, and they're older for like people of my age. So
Yeah, yeah.
they
You've got old
existed in a
parents.
time, I got old parents and they existed in a time where you could do that.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
I'm kind of like jealous of. Like whenever they talk about like their experience when they were my age, I'm like, wow, that sounds really nice. Like you weren't
Wow,
like,
that sounds super cheap.
you could afford, yeah, literally when my dad told me like his first rent was like $30 a month, like out of college, I was like, never talk to me about money ever again. Like, I don't want to hear
Yeah,
it. I don't want to hear it.
yeah. That's crazy.
So yeah, my mom does like a lot of like leather work. Like
Okay.
she makes like a lot of like belts and bags and stuff, jewelry.
So not a
My dad,
dominatrix.
no, not that. Not
When you
like the
said
sexy
leather
leather,
work, I was like,
like
what?
the hippie leather, not sexy leather.
Wow,
And
that
then
is like decidedly not sexy.
no, it's not sexy at all. It's all very like think like Birkenstocks,
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah,
heels.
yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That end of the spectrum. And then my dad he does woodworking. He's a carpenter.
Oh, cool. So they are kind of
They're just like,
definitely.
yeah, they got their, yeah, they're like makers.
Hmm.
Um, and then I just would always make stuff. But the high school I went to in Vegas is the Las Vegas Academy, which is just a couple blocks away from the Writer's Block, and that's where I met Vera.
Yeah.
It's
Brent
a
was telling me
magnet high
about that.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I'm really glad that I got to go there because I don't know that my zoned high school would have been, you know,
Perfect.
a
As a
good experience.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it was really great. The teachers there are wonderful. A lot of them are like practicing artists in the community
Uh-huh.
as well. And that's where I kind of like fell in love with ceramics and sculpture.
What is your
And
main medium, or are you interdisciplinary?
nowadays, I'm interdisciplinary for sure, is how I would classify it. Um, I spent most of
Your
like
dog seems to
college.
disagree with how you're representing
He does
yourself.
not like that. Yeah, he's like, no. You know, I would say more multimedia. Yeah, I knew he was gonna. Oh, somebody just dropped off a package. That's why he's getting
Oh,
upset.
okay.
He doesn't like it when people, dogs there.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't come near my house.
I know, dude. Oh man, I have some very contentious relationships with neighborhood dogs.
Yeah,
It's not personal though. They
no, it's
just yeah,
not. They
yeah,
just don't.
yeah.
Yeah, they don't want anyone out there. They're like
Dude, they're like, "Do you
the
see
older
me? I'm
people.
here." Go
Yeah,
ahead.
they're like the older people on like the Nextdoor app that are like, I just saw a guy walking past my house. Does anyone know what's going on?
That is hilarious. I've never heard that, but that is a very funny way of thinking of dogs and on point. It's like
You know
it's
what
a
I mean?
nosy
Like,
neighbor.
people,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
people next door, they're always just like making a scene.
Yeah, yeah, like asking people of color, should you be here kind of thing.
Like, is this your neighborhood?
Yeah.
My
That's
favorite
crazy.
was I saw this person posting. They were like, I see the same car going one way in my neighborhood at like 7 in the morning, and then I see
Oh,
them coming back at like 6:30. I'm like, I'm going to work. What are you talking about?
you should try it. Person
You
who's
should try it.
staring and has
Oh my
all day.
god!
Yeah.
Yeah, taking a job. Jesus.
Well,
Anyways,
in terms of politics, is it like because you mentioned that you were surprised at your parents? What is it like? Is it a red state, Nevada?
I think it's going red.
It's going red, but it's
I
like,
mean,
is
it
it?
did go red this year.
But it swings. It tends to.
Generally, I actually don't know like the history of it. I would say like the people in the art community, it's definitely not like
Yeah,
most of
yeah.
the people that I interact with on a daily basis. But I know that like the state itself, there's a huge like rural component,
Uh
which
huh.
tends to swing more right.
But would you say the city
Um,
is more conservative or more liberal? Because that's to me
Depends
like
on who you ask, honestly. Like I honestly would tell you, like I think it's probably 50-50.
because it just
There's
seems
a lot of
like.
money.
But that's the thing. There's money, but then there's gambling. Which
Yes.
is like
Yeah.
not decidedly not conservative. Or
Yes.
or
Fiscally conservative, though, I think if you talk to like,
the people
'cause
running the
casino
games.
owners, like they're business owners, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like they have the same, but maybe more socially liberal.
Hmm.
But I think like fiscally conservative,
Yeah,
there's a good portion of that here. And
yeah.
then of course a lot of like, I think like the Southwest in general too is very like libertarian.
Yes, yes,
People
yes.
that want to just do their own thing.
The more rural you get, the more you see that.
Sure.
Like out here, I visited in 29 Palms, is a place that's like right next to
Yeah.
Palm Springs. And I hung out with them, and they were just like nice hippie people. But man, they were like, you could tell they leave me the
Yeah.
fuck alone. I'm in the middle of
Totally.
nowhere for
Yeah,
a
that's why
reason.
they're there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and like,
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. Do you find that, like, as a Florida man, there are political opinions that I definitely are decided Florida person.
Sure.
Like my I'm pretty, I guess, not liberal. I'm pretty not anti-gun. You know, I take a pretty, like, not necessarily Florida standpoint, but I'm like, if we want to give guns to, like, you can't want gun control and then just, hey, let's give all these countries guns. You know, like
No,
that.
you can't. And you can't like kind of found your country on like you can do what you want and then tell people specifically like you actually can't do that one thing.
All right,
You know,
yeah.
it's hard to like give people, it's hard to give something and then take it away.
No, for sure, for sure. But so it does sound like you're a little bit like me. Like, you're not necessarily, like, you're not California.
I'm not a California.
Yeah,
And
me
like
neither.
Las Vegas is also not California. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I don't think that like many people would like make a really big deal about recycling here. Like,
Oh,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? Like, I think it's sort of like we're doing our thing. We want to have a good time,
yeah.
and we
No,
want our own stuff, and then it's ours.
yeah, and it's debatable how much recycling does. I'm with. I'm a little bit on the Vegas side of that.
Sure. Yeah,
You
that's
know?
like the one area where we want to be like California, but I think there's a lot of aspects of Vegas that does not mesh very well with like the California vibe.
Yeah. No, and I respect that, because I mean,
Yeah.
California is like so in conflict with itself. I think that, like, it's so Democrat dominated that, like, you just end up like people that are straight up right wingers just being Democrats. You know,
Right.
Not that
Yeah.
not that nationally that's not the case. Also, because I think that Democrats are, like, liberals are like very right wing compared to the left of other countries, right?
For sure. Yeah.
So-
Or like even some like leftists like within America. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
don't associate with like quote unquote like liberals,
Oh no, I'm definitely one of those. Is that where you stand?
That's where I'm at. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. That, see, we're Florida and Nevada. We have
Yeah.
we're kindred spirits. I
Yeah.
love it.
I went to Florida for the first time a couple years ago for like, a work trip. And I was like,
Yeah.
already home. Yeah.
And it's so misunderstood. It's so overhyped.
It is, yeah.
And like,
It's a beautiful state.
oh yeah, it's sweaty as fuck, and it makes you
I
insane.
was miserable. Yeah. I did not like I felt physically ill the entire time I was there.
I was
I'm
asking.
used to a dry heat.
Yeah. No, I was asking Brent, like, as the fires were going on. I think they were actually actively already happening. Yeah, and I was asking him, I was like, is this like a good place? Like, is this a good place to, like, go ahead,
Yeah.
give me your answer.
Here in Vegas.
Yeah, as a place to, like, buy a house.
It makes me nervous long term.
Yeah, because of the
Because-
water situation.
It's getting hotter every year,
Yeah.
and the water is kind of.
What's the hottest day? What's the hottest day that
Like-
you guys get?
that I can remember? It was like 117 degrees.
Jesus, that's brutal.
It's horrible. Like it's not. That's not normal.
Yeah.
It's not
No,
healthy to live in.
no, it's
And like to rely exclusively on like air conditioning and all of these like high tech systems of keeping yourself alive makes me nervous.
yeah.
And
No,
relying on like food being brought in.
And
No, it's just I know that's a lot of places. Like a lot of places are like when you think about it too much, it starts to sound unsustainable.
yeah, like LA.
Like here, it just feels like really, yeah, exactly. Like you just start thinking about it, you're like, oh shit, like maybe this is not.
Yeah.
Maybe we fucked up. Like maybe like
No,
somewhere
it's
along the line things got a little bit.
yeah.
know.
Not to be too Florida man, but that is kind of how I feel about, like, like the climate crisis. I feel like if I was a rich person and ran and was friends with other rich people, and I saw that the climate crisis was coming and all this land was going to become readily available for during these like
Yeah.
natural disasters, these hurricanes, like
Yeah, you would start.
yeah, I would be like, oh yeah, make everybody recycle. We'll just put it all in the same place, and then that way they think that they're doing something and we're
Yeah.
making some kind of progress. But anyway, not to alienate all my California listeners.
You're like, shit, listen to this part.
No, it's so funny. Like when I meet people out here that are from Miami, and I'm like, oh, a reasonable human, or like from Florida. So I know
Yeah,
Mary Boo is from Pompano Beach, and and I'm always like, oh yeah, I know how you think, and I
yeah,
like that. It's like if there's a weird sense of home to it. Well,
yeah.
tell me a little bit about your art making and like the voyage of that. I always find it funny to hear like what your first inklings that you were an artist were, and then when you finally accepted it for the actual burden that it is.
Right.
uh
I think the burden has been with me for a long time.
yeah.
And I always accepted it. I was just like, okay. Like there was never like a moment of reckoning really.
I'm gonna be poor.
It was like, yeah, whatever. Like this is, it didn't even feel like a decision.
Yeah, no, it's you don't
It
have a
was just
choice.
like, sure, yeah,
So
I'll
in
do
high
this.
school you were already there.
Yeah, I think before then, because I just remember like making stuff.
Uh-huh.
Like I would just collect garbage or like my dad's like wood scraps that he was done with and just like build like little things,
Uh-huh.
like little sculptures. And I was like, I want to keep doing this and I want to make these like cooler.
Yeah.
And then like, luckily having like hippie parents, they were like, you can be an artist, and then
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
oh, okay. Um, and
How
I
old
was
are your
like,
parents?
my dad, he is 72
Oh, okay,
and
so
my mom
how
is
old are you?
6. I'm 28.
Oh my God, you're a
Yeah.
baby. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. Everyone thinks I'm older because I'm not stupid. I'm not saying that other 28-year-olds are stupid, but
Is there
um,
someone else in that room that laughed, or was that just a weird echo?
that was probably just my like alternate personality. I'm alone in here. This is my studio room.
Okay.
I'll give you
Oh,
there's a
nice.
closet. There's a bookshelf. There's
Uh,
my
s-
my pornographic anime poster that I'm hiding with my
with your body?
yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. No, I mean, hopefully you can't see it that well. I can't see it here, but I might have to blur that out for YouTube.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, that's hilarious.
Everywhere I've ever lived, people have begged me to
Take it
not
down.
put it up, but I'm like, no, it's staying up.
Are you a hentai
I'm
aficionado?
not. I got this poster specifically. I remember my first semester at UNLV in the art
Mm.
department. I participated in this weird thing they were doing where they were like, okay, everyone gets a table and you got to put your art on it in the student union and you have to try to like sell stuff.
Oh wow.
And it was very like bad and weird and kind of embarrassing. But this one kid had like a bunch of like horny anime posters,
Hmm.
and we became friends. And I was like, I'll buy one. I'll buy one of these.
I love that you're not like an actual aficionado, so you call it horny anime instead of just hentai, which is like
That's the
the
term for it. That's the official.
yeah.
Okay, so hentai. Yes, he had. Sorry, he had
No, I
hentai
wasn't
posters
correcting you. You
available.
live your life how you need to. I just think
Yeah,
it's
I'm just not.
hilarious.
I like it like from a. I'm not familiar with it, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
appreciate it aesthetically when I see it. I'm like, yeah, that's nice.
It
I
also
like
sounds
that.
like you like making people slightly uncomfortable, which I'm down with.
Oh, yeah, that's one of my favorite things.
You and you're like, no, I'm gonna put it up.
Like,
Um,
yeah, no, I like this. This
so
is like
okay,
one of the first pieces of art that I've purchased, and I'm going to display it.
well, in that space, are you mostly drawing or
In this
painting?
space, yeah, I'm doing a lot of like digital art right now.
Oh, okay.
So I've been doing this process lately. I came into I purchased a bunch of weird new age magazines
Are they
that I'm
like?
obsessed with
Are they
um,
from what era?
from the 90s.
90s. Okay, that
And
is
it's
a.
like exactly the same stuff that we are still talking about. They're like, UFO secrets, the government is doing this, the government is doing that. And it's like, yeah, we've been talking about this for so long. And like, it's funny that the way that these ideas just keep like emerging.
Yeah.
No one
You
does anything about it ever, but
you just fucked up so hard because you live in Las Vegas and you brought up UFOs, and now that's all I
they're
can
gonna
think
get
of.
me. Yeah.
No,
I
yeah,
mean,
I'm gonna get you with questions.
oh yes. Well. Yeah. It's just
So you got
I love
magazines?
those. Yeah. So I've been like doing a lot of scanning.
Uh huh.
creating a lot of like images and text from those and turning those into paintings, basically.
Okay.
Like doing like weird digital collages and then transferring those and painting on top of them.
Oh, nice.
That's been my latest
Uh-huh.
thing.
And what else is in these magazines other than UFOs?
It's a lot of there are a lot of articles and ads about how to become a sovereign citizen,
Oh,
which is really intriguing to me.
is this the Las Vegas Times? It sounds like
No,
it's so
it's actually
specifically
like
Nevada.
one of them is like an Australian publication,
Oh, that makes a
and
lot
then
of
one of
sense.
them is American but from somewhere. But there was an ad for a gun store in Las Vegas in one of them,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and I was like, oh, I know that place.
Oh
But
man.
they yeah, I don't know, they're very interesting. There's a lot of like, and I'm just so curious about some of these ads in there. Like they have I want to call the phone numbers. I want to see if they're still like selling their weird,
Oh man.
because they're selling one of my favorite things that I saw, it was called a wish machine,
Okay.
and it's basically like they call it a like a tachyon energy converter.
Okay.
So it's this thing that they sell you. You buy it, they send it in the mail, and it's this device where it's like two copper plates, and it's using, the power of your manifestation. You place an image of the thing that you want in between the two copper plates, and then there's other elements of this thing as well. And then you use the power of your energy and this device to manifest that thing.
Yeah.
And this is just something you can buy. Like,
No, I
I'm
mean,
obsessed with it. Like, it's amazing. Someone invented this. They're selling it. It just taps into that human urge of like everyone. It's like alchemy. You know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you want these things, these intangible things, or like you want to use intangible means to get tangible things,
Yeah, yeah.
and you're willing to do anything.
Well, I think that what's interesting about alchemy is that it's sort of like it ends up being like the gold we made was the friends we made along the way kind of thing,
Exactly.
where it's like it's
And we never actually got the philosopher's stone. But
yeah, but we learned a lot of ways to trick our own minds into like feeling. It's like almost like self brainwashing techniques. It's really interesting. Now watch
Yeah.
this. Do you know who George Knapp is?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I really want to meet him. I
You're
wanna
the
hang out
first
with him.
person I've ever
Really?
talked to. I mean, nobody knows who George Knapp is outside of Vegas, but he is for people that don't know, he is the king of he discovered Area 51, right? Or he was the first one to write.
So his story is interesting because he was just like a local news reporter.
He still is. He still does
And
just
he
a regular
still
beat.
is.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, for some reason, I think because he's here in Vegas, people came to him with like UFO stuff
Yeah.
and Area 15 stuff. Or Area
What's
51. God,
Okay.
I keep calling it Area
Dyslexic.
15. Area 15 is they built something here called Area 15, and I always call it that. Area
But
51.
What is that like a bar, a trendy bar or what? Area
Basically,
15?
yeah.
Okay, cool.
We can talk. Yeah, interesting. But yes, so I think like he got sucked into the alien stuff kind of against his will.
Yeah, yeah.
But then now he's so super into it. He has a Netflix show now.
I saw it.
It's really good.
Yeah, yeah. No, he's amazing. He's he really is cool. I think it's really interesting. I think it's really interesting to see somebody that has like integrity to be ridiculed for that long. And then now slowly people are starting to come to him like, wait, what?
Like, I think you're right about some of this stuff. Yeah.
And I just like, listen, he's got a great voice. He's such a old timey like personality.
Yeah,
But
and he seems like he really is interested in stuff, which I think is like one of my favorite qualities in other people is like genuine interest.
yeah,
And not like quick to like dismiss or say like, oh God, like whatever, like this. No, like instant judgments. Like he'll listen. He'll listen to anything, which I feel like I'm similar.
I just listened to an interview with him where he was saying that somebody painted a painting of him on a UFO, and he
Amazing.
and like that person was like, and he was like, that person knew what they were doing. I had to buy it so it didn't get in the wrong hands. And so I mean, I don't know, maybe that's a hot tip on how to meet him, but maybe paint
Okay,
something
yeah.
with
No,
him.
I was thinking, I was like, he's around. I gotta,
I'm
yeah,
sure it would be so interesting. And in that Netflix show, you see his house, and you're like, "Oh, that's exactly where he would live."
yeah, and I know exactly like what that neighborhood is too. So
Oh,
you'll
dude,
just
we're
show
gonna
up,
go.
yeah. We're
Next
just
time
gonna
I'm
yeah,
there,
yeah.
yeah, we're gonna go knocking. Well, you had mentioned wanting to talk a little bit about sideshows, which is why I'm excited that you brought up what's it called, your New Age magazine.
Yeah.
I read Jitterbug Perfume. That is like I think that the only Tom Robbins book that I think is like perfect and really
Hmm.
good is Still Life with Woodpecker.
Yeah.
I feel like everything I've read of his other than that, which is not that much, but like I feel like I really appreciate the research that he does, and
Hmm.
it's a really entertaining like ride through stuff. Like, but yeah, in Jitterbug Perfume, I think there's like a whole section about like, oh no, there's a book called The Last Roadside Attraction or something like that, right?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about these things, because in Florida we don't have that many of them. It feels like more
Right.
of a Nevada kind of vibe.
Yes. My obsession with roadside attractions. I mean, I feel like I haven't actually seen my favorite roadside attractions. They're just things that I read about.
Yeah,
And there's like the famous ones, right? There's like Salvation Mountain. There's like the
that's the
House on
one
the Rock.
that's all
Yeah, like the big
color,
mountain in like near like the Salton Sea. Um and then
where
there's
everything is, it's got graffiti on it, right? And
yeah,
like
yeah, or it's like painted.
yeah, yeah.
And it's usually like what you would probably classify as like an outsider artist,
Hmm.
someone that just and to me it's like similar to like these devices that people make, right? It's like they're so committed to like their weird world and the weird like way that they say things, and they want
Yeah.
other people to experience it too. Like I think that's beautiful.
That's one person that made that place,
I think it was like the brainchild of like one person.
and then like a
And they
community
probably have
project.
like usually that's
Yeah.
how it goes, right? It's like one person with this like vision. So like there's the House on the Rock in Wisconsin that is on the top of my list of attractions to visit,
What's that?
where it's this guy's collection of stuff. So he has different rooms that just house like his massive collections of things.
Okay.
So he has like a carousel room where he just
Uh.
has
uh
collected carousel animals and like
okay.
like I think he has some like working carousels in there. Um,
Wow.
it's kind of one of those things where you have to either have a lot of money to do it, or you just need to be extremely dedicated and willing to like bust your ass,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
which is also like very, I think it's very like noble to dedicate your life to like some weird thing.
Yeah, especially if it brings you happiness, and then other people
Yeah.
can enjoy that.
That other people can like indulge in.
Yeah.
There was a guy here in Vegas. I think he was lieutenant governor at one point. His name's Lonnie Hammergren. And I remember seeing he used to have these this campaign merch that was a pencil with like two erasers, like a hammer at the end of it,
Hmm.
like a hammergrin.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were like really stupid. I remember thinking like this is stupid. But anyway, he lived a couple blocks actually from like where my parents live, and he had a house where he had bought other properties around it,
Okay.
and he kind of like connected them all, like total OSHA violation, very very like, which also fantastic. Um, but he would collect like Las Vegas stuff, so he had like Liberace's egg that he would come out of,
Oh,
a bunch of like
wow.
weird signs, just like all this weird shit. And he would put it all over his house. He had like a sarcophagus. He dug his own basement and he put a sarcophagus in it. Just fun stuff, like a roller coaster on the roof of the house. But every Nevada day, he would open it up for people to come take a tour of.
When's Nevada Day?
It's uh,
Summer, spring?
it's in the fall. It's October 30th, I think.
Okay.
So, or
Right
like
before
around that time.
Halloween?
Yeah, and like I remember in school we would always think that we got Halloween off of school, but it was actually just Nevada Day. You're like, oh yeah, the Halloween break.
Damn,
Which is
Nevada.
really cool when you're a
Nev-
kid. It's
Nevada
awesome.
Day is
Yeah.
awesome. We should
No,
celebrate it in
I love it.
California.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, the yeah, I always find
Like
that
a
stuff.
dedication to your weird vision. Like that's like the ultimate.
Well, it's kind of I never realized that Watts Tower over here. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh
It's
yeah,
it's
yeah,
kind of like that, but I guess it's not a roadside attraction because it's kind of in the middle of Watts, so it's like in the city itself.
yeah.
But it sounds like, did your parents get to do a lot of like did they tell you the myths of the roadside attractions? Because
Probably.
is that still a thing like that is
Probably not
going
so much. Like
right?
in
Like that
today's.
feels very 70s and
Yeah,
60s.
and also like I think too, probably with today's culture,
Mhm.
like it's more of like an it's like a thing where
Oh
people go
yeah.
like, I'm gonna go here and I'm
It's the
gonna
ice cream museum.
post it. I'm gonna post about this or whatever, and it's less of like a thing that you accidentally see or something that you hear about and you go seek out
Yeah, like
like
when you're
more
doing a road trip.
organically. Exactly. Yeah. I always think about like Pee Wee's Big Adventure. That's one of my favorite movies.
I haven't seen it still. I'm so
Oh, it's
sorry.
so good. You have to see it. I watch it every time I get sick.
Really?
So I like to watch it when I have like a high fever.
He wasn't even
It
in your
really enhances
consciousness when
the
you were a kid.
experience.
That's amazing.
No, I think like well, also like from having old parents, like I was
Yeah, yeah.
behind culturally. Like I think I grew up like when I was a kid, like little kid, like watching like the Three Stooges and stuff. Like because my dad was like, "You got to check this out. This is the funniest thing, and you're gonna love it." I was like, "Okay."
That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, I think that there is something that Vera said when Vera Blossom said when at the reading, which was interesting, was like that sense of like being home and being happy, which I definitely feel that way when I'm in Miami, is like being home and
Mhm.
being happy, but also being like ready to leave almost immediately.
For sure. Yeah.
You know, and she said something to the effect of like, yeah, and then there's an eight lane highway, and I'm like, I want to get out of here, and I
It's
definitely,
inhospitable. You know
but
what I mean? Like,
but there is something so much more highway-y about Nevada. You know, like
well, it's huge.
it's huge, but then
It's
there's like,
big, it's spread out.
and
You
it's kind
know,
of empty too, you
yeah.
know, like in
To get
between.
from place to place, like it's a lot of like stretches of road.
Yeah. No,
You know,
it's a trip. So, are there any big ones in Vegas? Are there any
I
big?
mean, everything is kind of a roadside attraction.
Yeah.
That's the thing too. It's about like spectacle and like there's that book, Learning from Las Vegas, that I
Hmm.
think was required reading for all of us in at UNLV. That goes into like the architectural. It was basically an architectural study of
Uh-huh.
the buildings in Las Vegas, and
Oh, that sounds interesting.
they talk about the decorated shed, which is like a traditional building just with a sign indicating like what that building is.
Okay.
And then there's the duck. So the duck references there's this classic like roadside attraction structure that is shaped like a duck. It's a building shaped like a duck. And so that an example of that here in Vegas would be like the Luxor, where the building is shaped like the thing itself that you're trying to
Uh-huh.
like immerse people in.
Yeah.
So they're talking about like that as like a revolutionary like architecture style of like, hey, like we're doing it. Like we're going on. We're gonna build a castle. We're gonna build the Eiffel Tower. Like we're gonna make things like very over the top and with the intention of attracting you in.
Yeah, yeah.
So that in that way, the whole town is like that.
Yeah, and the malls in it's funny because I haven't been to the Luxor was so dated when I went there in
I hate
2020.
the Luxor is terrible. Yeah,
Like on the
it's
inside, it was
really
just it was like it was the most grody of them all. Like
yeah. I think it's probably pretty grody.
but it's still kind of in the. It's not like the stratosphere where it's like far from. It's not. It's like right still
It's
pretty
right
much.
there. Yeah,
It's right next to the
it's like
Bellagio.
primo real estate. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. That place is so strange. I can't imagine. It just feels like your experience was probably very surreal, You know, it feels like you're part of America, but you're also in this like Wild West place that's like separate from it, which
Yeah.
like I'm as interested in the similarities as I am the differences between Miami, but like that like sort of like just like wild person on their own,
Yeah.
like less likely to call the police than they are to handle something by themselves kind of vibe.
Sure. Yeah. And just kind of othered maybe by like the collective American conscience.
Oh yeah.
Like
Miami
I think
gets
that's
so
super
much shit.
interesting. Like you guys are
Yeah.
like everyone's like just kind of written off, not maybe written off. Like they're definitely curious and they're definitely jealous, but
Yeah.
like a definite like you're something else that we don't quite understand what's going on.
Yeah, you're
And
a
I think
creature.
like you're a creature, and I think like Brent talks about this a lot.
Mm.
How there's like definitely there's like power in that
Oh
to
yeah.
be like, yeah, you know, like you're like, I'm a Florida man, like,
No,
don't,
for
like,
sure.
you know what I mean? Like,
It's intimidating. It's like it's funny because I don't do it ironically. I'm like so sincere in calling
yeah,
myself a Florida man because like
yeah,
there's just no other way to
because that's who
describe.
you are. Yeah,
But it also is just no way to describe how out of touch and the distance between me and people out here, you know,
sure.
which like when I went there, I definitely felt like kind of like at home. I was like, oh, these people got that same crazy, you know,
Yeah,
the same crazy of like, fuck you. I don't care. We
yeah.
don't
But then
recycle.
it's funny because you take that somewhere else, and they're just like, oh no,
Yeah. But it's so much more refreshing than like oh, we are California with a moral authority on everything and we get to judge everyone. Like that is just
yeah.
so
I bet that
like,
gets really tiring.
oh man.
Be around 24/7.
I recently saw there's this like AI thing that's going around of like a like Latinos for Trump person being arrested by ICE, like, and you
Oh my
can see the
god.
T-shirt, and then I was like, I was gonna share it, and I saw this thing is like, oh, this is not, this is AI. You're spreading misinformation, blah 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 blah, and then they're like, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm aboard. I'm aboard. I didn't realize this. I'm gonna share it, and then it gets to the part where it's like, the only Latinos that vote for Trump are white Cubans, and I'm like, what? What did I do? And it was like, and it's like, first of all, that's fucking not true because I live in California. I know a
Yeah,
lot of Mexicans that fucking love that dude, you
yeah,
know, and not in the art world, but I don't just exclusively live in the art world. So it's just so funny how people are like, these other people don't exist. I'm like, you're
no,
literally
they do. Yeah,
and you're literally living in a city where they exist, and you're shouting like. Like it just tells me that you don't look at your surroundings or that you don't talk to the brown people in your area
or you
because
think that like your social media feed is your
it's
immediate
reality.
surroundings. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, like, yeah, that stuff's real, but like, that's not what's around you. Like,
No,
you feel
yeah.
like it's around you because it's what you're seeing 24/7, but
Yeah.
that's not like, not to be like touch grass, but like go touch grass.
No, for sure, for sure. It's just so funny. So but I do like I like the strangeness of places like that. You know,
Yeah.
where it's like not you go to somewhere and it's not like full of like professionals looking their sharpest trying to like
Yeah. Or
do
no one's really
business.
trying to like fit into a predetermined mold.
Yeah.
Like, there is no mold.
Yeah.
Really,
Like look at how
especially for artists. Like, there's no like one way that you're supposed to be.
yeah, for
I mean, in
sure.
general, as an artist, because you know it's a multi-dimensional identity. But like in other places, there's like a path, right?
Yeah.
Or there's like certain things that you're supposed to do, or like how you're supposed to behave. But here, people are kind of making it up for themselves, which I think is great.
And I think that there's like a pressure to conform to certain political beliefs here because of the industries that employ
Yeah,
people. You know,
definitely.
like
Yeah.
if you work in Hollywood, I'm sure that a lot of the things that I say that are anti-imperialist and anti-democrat are, you
Yeah,
know,
it's like it wouldn't fly. Like
you're not even allowed
yeah.
to. You're not, dude. People get really upset when you criticize. It's like you're helping him. I'm like, I'm not helping anybody but myself.
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
but
It's
yeah,
like a script, and like you
you
are
kind of
supposed
have
to
to
follow
conform
it.
to
Yeah,
it.
or like you can't veer off too far.
Yeah, and that's not
Otherwise, you're
rebellious. That's not
no,
cool. That's
no,
not
it's
sexy, as
stupid.
Brent
Yeah,
says it. You know.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, and then I loved hanging out with Brent and just seeing the way he dressed. Like, it.
His style is literally every time I see him, I'm just like, I want that outfit. Not that I could
Yeah,
pull it off, but like they're very good outfits.
but it also is like cowboy boots are not a thing in Florida, but like, just
Mm,
seeing that incorporated into that eccentric style is like very
yeah.
gratifying. You know, so
Surprisingly, I got my like first pair of like I had cowboy boots as a child,
mhm.
but I got my first adult pair of cowboy boots not too long ago.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, yeah, this is
It's a thing.
these are good.
Yeah, yeah,
These
yeah.
feel good.
Yeah. No, I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
What else about it, Vegas should I know? Like especially as a Florida man that I might really appreciate that people don't.
I think also getting outside of like the city limits
Mhm.
because there is a bunch of weird shit just 40 minutes away.
Yeah. That's
I
where all
mean,
the
I'm sure you're familiar with like the Vegas to LA drive.
yeah, yeah.
There's some stuff. But there's also if you go north, there's this great place called the Goldwell Museum
Okay.
in Rhyolite, Nevada. And Rhyolite was a abandoned. It's an abandoned ghost town
Uh-huh.
with really interesting structures that are kind of like decaying ruins. But then there's also like an artist community that lives there,
Are
or
you
doesn't they don't really live there, but they work there.
yeah, yeah. Are you wearing like a bracelet or something?
No, that's my um, broken chain tattoo.
Oh, okay. No, it's just something's like
It doesn't
rattling.
have a deep meaning. It was done by a crust punk in her kitchen.
That's meaning enough for me.
Yeah, I was like 17.
Oh, well, cool. No, I mean, I don't know. I definitely, I went to, it seems like there's plenty of opportunity to do hallucinogens out there.
Yeah, but like
And
be careful with the aliens because
with what?
the aliens.
Oh yeah.
Because
Have
they
you,
will. I've never had. Okay, that's the thing. I'm very open to it. If any aliens are listening and they would like to, I don't want anything extreme, but like if they would like to make their presence known to me, I would not be like upset.
I have a huge alien audience, so this is the best place to
Yeah,
drop
if
that.
they want to just like come by and say hey, like yeah, I'm open to it.
Well,
But I have never had any direct encounters.
is that a big part of the culture there? Like, are people? Is it
I think people embrace it in like a campy way.
okay?
But I don't know personally many people that have like had encounters. I know a
Uh-huh.
few, but it's not something that is like I would say it's more of like an ironic
Yeah.
but loving embrace of that culture.
But do you think that
But like
when people are being ironic, they're like totally non-believers, or do you think
no,
they're being
I think
ironic but they're like
they
maybe
want
it's
it.
true? Yeah,
They
yeah,
think it's
yeah.
maybe true and they want it to be true. And I think that hopefully that energy is well received by
Yeah.
by aliens.
No, I mean it's so fascinating.
It's
So
super cool, yeah. And I mean, I've wanted to do also the extraterrestrial highway trip.
what is so you I was literally going to ask you, are
Rachel,
there
I think,
so there are places that are known for that kind of thing?
for sure. And then there's like the they call it the extraterrestrial highway that's from down here up to Rachel, Nevada.
Okay.
And that's I think the closest town that you can get to like the Groom Lake area,
What's
Area
that? Is
51.
the Groom Lake is Area 51?
Groom Lake is Area 51. That's like the name of like the lake bed where it all goes down.
Can I ask you
Um,
what do you think would have happened if everybody stormed Area 51? Like
I
how
mean,
would
they
that
did.
Oh, they did?
Do you
I
remember
didn't
that?
I remember that, but I just didn't remember the news
Nothing
stories.
happened.
Nothing. They just went
No,
there.
they just went.
Did they
It was
get
supposed to be
in?
like a meme thing.
Okay.
Like
It's that
they
ironic
people,
detachment.
yeah. Um, a friend of mine, I don't know if you know Michaela Whitmore.
No.
She's a wonderful photographer. But she went up there to capture some of the activities. So
Uh-huh.
I think like yeah, there's got some great content out of that.
Really?
Really
Yeah.
amazing photos.
Yeah, I was like, I was when I was visiting my sister, my brother-in-law was telling him, I was like, dude, you guys are like in like the capital for like UFO, so uninterested and so skeptical. I'm like,
Really?
where's the fun in your
Where's
life,
the
man?
joy?
How can you like not, you know?
Yeah,
And it was
no,
like, oh, it's just military stuff. I'm like, that's first of all, that's
no, but that's
depressing.
not. Also, like, if it is just military stuff, that's not boring either.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's I want to know about that too.
Well, you saw the New Jersey drones, the
Oh,
FCC
right.
or
Yeah.
FA or whatever. I think FCC is like
Yeah,
the
they just admitted that they're theirs, right?
yeah, that they were ours, and like for so long they just didn't. So
People
like,
were losing their minds. People were like literally having like schizophrenic like meltdowns because they were like,
but also like, why
"What
not
the fuck
tell
is
us?
this?"
Why not? You know, like why
Yeah, that
hold
means
it?
you're
Like,
doing something weird.
well, I think they said something in terms of, I mean, maybe we are, this is the Florida Nevada connection that we
Right.
have, but like trust no one element. But they were
Trust no
like,
one, yeah.
we were doing like, I think they said it some way. I don't exactly remember the wording, but it sounds like what they were doing. Like it sounds like, oh, so you were doing it for this, and basically it sounds like they were just doing an experiment to see how people reacted, you know, which is really like kind of a dick thing to do,
It's kind of messed
but
up, yeah.
it's like, but it also it's like, I don't know. I kind of didn't want them to be ours.
Yeah, I think we were all hoping for something a little less anticlimactic.
Yeah, it's so boring that it's like,
Yeah.
oh, the overlords want to hurt us and they're
We know,
American.
right? We know, like we know. We already know this.
Oh, like your boot is not on us enough.
Yeah, tell me something I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
What do
everyone
you?
wants like, yeah, everyone is like really waiting for something to happen. And
Yeah.
okay, this is why like this current age is really like kind of strange, and I feel like this is part of why everyone is so like insane lately, is because we're all like kind of waiting for something big to happen.
Some
But
change.
things
Yeah.
keep happening all the time.
Yeah.
But it's not enough,
Yeah.
or it's
Yeah.
not the thing we want, or it's like not quite impactful in the way that is maybe like expected. And that just creates this really weird mood, right? Like all the things that have happened just in this year,
It's
it's
crazy.
too much.
No.
That's
Yeah.
too much. And
No,
they're
for
too
sure.
extreme and they're too horrifying. But like at the same time, like we're still kind of like waiting. I just think that like probably the world is gonna end soon. That's probably what that feeling is. It's just like, oh, just the big one, you know?
Dude, it's so funny how we always feel that way though, because during the Bush
Totally,
years, yeah, during the Bush years in the Iraq War, and especially after 9/11, that was like,
Yeah,
we've
like,
entered a
nothing
new
to do,
world.
like, yeah.
And then like
Maybe
looking
we
back,
just
I'm
have to
like,
accept that like it's not gonna end, and that's even more fucked up somehow.
I know that is
Keep
that is
going.
what I'm coping
That's
with.
what it is. Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh no, we have to keep going, and that's why. Yeah.
There's no easy way out.
No, there's nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you something as a Nevadaan. What do you think of the many versions of what people think UFOs are? Because I think that that's an interesting discussion.
Totally.
And then also, how awesome was that section in the Netflix special where he goes to Brazil, and there's that city that's protected by UFOs, but then
Yeah.
the scientists explain why, and it's like, that is a good explanation, but it doesn't discount it entirely.
Yes. Yeah. I was like, I like this. Yeah, that was really cool. My personal interpretation of UFOs is that there are entities that are already here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like people from other planets.
Okay.
Like angels, demons, extraterrestrials, they're like that's the same thing. It's one
Yeah,
of the,
like Jacques Vallée's version of
Yes.
it. You're familiar with him?
yes.
Yeah.
Like these are things that are among us but not quite.
Yeah, they're
It's just a
like,
different plane.
I think
And I
that
don't know if they're like creators or like helpers. I don't really know what their intentions are.
yeah, George
But it's
Knapp's.
not, yeah.
I think that George Knapp also has an interesting one, which is, he thinks that the reason that they're not necessarily so actively violent against us, or like, trying to overthrow our governments or Independence Daying us to smithereens is because they might be from the future, and if they do that, they'll kill themselves. But they're trying to maybe fix something. I just like all the ideas, you know.
Honestly, me too. Yeah, I've never heard
but
one where I'm like, no.
But
Except the one where it's like people from other planets. That for me, I'm just like,
the alien ones is a little hard for you.
Like,
yeah,
it's not as interesting to me.
no, it would
It's like too easy.
It would settle something, and it's less mysterious. Yeah, it would just be
I think that it's a bigger, grander mystery that is connected to like our very existence.
How well versed are you on the different races?
I know there's the Anunnaki, right? Like
We're fucking nerds. I'm like, I found my persons. I'm gonna go to Nevada all the time and only talk about this.
It's really fun.
Yeah, it really is. And just the idea that you could see something in Nevada is so much more exciting than being in LA and like talking about it. Like when I was there, I was like, it brought it all to the forefront. I was like, this is where the nuclear tests happen.
Oh, don't even get me started on the nuclear tests.
We still got like a little time. Tell me about the nuclear tests. I want to know all about Vegas.
Well, okay, like I just think that it did something. Like I think it, you know what I mean? Just in general. Like
at least psychically it did.
100%. But are you familiar? Are you a Twin Peaks / David Lynch fan?
I am. I'm not sure where you're taking. Are you going to bring the Black Lodge into this?
Yes.
Okay, do it.
Did you watch The Return?
No, I'm way behind. Okay, so if you can do it without spoilers, although it's hard to spoil David Lynch, right?
It kind of is because like I could tell you exactly what happens and you still wouldn't really feel like I spoiled it.
Okay.
But there is an episode that features like the Trinity test.
Oh, okay.
And it is heavily implied in that episode that brought forth like all evil in the world, basically.
Interesting.
And so I thought that was like a very interesting like visual interpretation of that idea.
Yeah.
Of like, you know, man's inhumanity to man, but then also like something a little more like primordial and real.
Yeah. Have you watched the Secrets of Skywalker Ranch?
I think that's something that I've put on multiple times as like a bedtime.
Yeah, I just fell asleep.
And fell asleep and then kept going back. So I can't recall much of it, but
it's fun, but it's also like really weird. They basically are able to trigger on that place, like somehow they're able to constantly get UFOs to pop up, which is really trippy.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
So like how do you do that? Like you summon
well, what they'll do is they'll fire rockets into the air and then they'll start coming out. But then the other thing that's crazy is that Black Hawk helicopters will come. There's this like place in a mesa that they think there's something in there and they're like trying to pry through it and stuff. It's been like 4 seasons. They haven't made that much progress, but it is interesting to sort of see the stuff that they experience.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I find interesting about that show is that there's not one joke in the 4 seasons that I've watched. Like nobody.
They're dead serious.
They're dead serious, and there's like, but like I'm sure people crack jokes in that environment. They just don't put it on the show, like,
right? Because they're trying to present like a certain attitude. Yeah.
But then I always feel like anytime George Knapp shows up in something, and he's shown up on that show, I'm like, oh, this is already legit.
Because he takes it seriously. Like he takes it seriously as like a research topic.
Yeah,
you know?
and I love that his approach to the whole thing is that like he knows things that he basically says that what he wants, every piece of information that he has because he wants to release it someday, but. You know, to protect sources and all of that, he doesn't do it. Yeah. But it's really interesting to know that this guy knows so much more than any of the rest of us, and he still doesn't know. You know,
yes, exactly. And it's like something that we're probably not supposed to know. You know what I'm saying? Like just as like you know, you hear like in like ancient myths and just like a lot of like stories, like. There is such a thing as like knowledge that will like kill you, like literally, like Adam and Eve, like it would make you cease to exist, basically.
Yeah.
We're supposed to live in a certain like lesser awareness,
Yeah.
you know? Like if you bought one of those machines from one of these magazines and it actually worked, that would not be good.
No, no, that would be
Right?
crazy.
Like,
Well, you know about the remote sensing experiments that people have done? There's that guy
yes,
that with
I
this
want to
this
learn how to do that. I want to learn how to remote. That's my 2025 goal is to teach myself how to do remote viewing.
Oh my God, if you do, we're going to have you back on and do
Yeah,
it.
we can do that on air.
Because no, I mean that stuff is so fascinating. The it's that guy that was the spoon bender. He I think he was also he was like a celebrity guy that used to do bend spoons, if I'm not mistaken, and he used to also be able to like do remote viewing. But like it's one of those things where the percentage of like the percentage is like really, it's not like, you know, 50% even, but it's still better than statistical anomalies, you know, or
Yeah.
like by mere chance. So it's just so weird. And like as people say, I'm always like, it's like give them a couple million and like let them research it, you know,
Yeah,
instead
let
of
them do
like
it. Yeah.
instead of what all our military
Like,
money is
why
going through.
not? Like, what's the harm? We've spent like more money is spent on like worse things, you know?
Yeah, and also just like I don't know, like the world is so, or just the idea of how focused we are on empirical things when it's clear that like a lot of stuff, you know, especially like things like propaganda and whatnot, they don't function on an empirical sense. Like, you know, this, like you can use, like magic is real in this,
Yes.
in that psychological sense of like, you can change people's reality through how they perceive it.
Right.
And
So why don't we like embrace, like really take that more seriously?
well,
Right.
I think it would be a different society if instead of trying to weaponize that stuff, which it seems like is what they do, they
Yeah.
researched it for the betterment of society, you know?
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
and
you're right. Because like when you do hear about any of that kind of thing, it's always like propaganda even. Like, you know, like
yeah.
it's all being used for
It's all psyops. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Not to now we've gone full Florida
We've gone
Nevada.
like full Alex Jones, yeah.
Now we're showing our native to rural regions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anything that I didn't ask you about today that you maybe wanted to, that you had thought of before doing the episode?
Pretty much covered it all.
Awesome.
Aliens,
Awesome.
roadside attractions,
We're gonna have to
alchemy.
go alchemy. Oh man, we could have gone deeper. I feel like, but
Yeah.
but
I don't know if that's like an art podcast thing or like something else.
nah, it's an art podcast that deals with
But
the
that is
mystical.
art, like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like the things that
We cover the humanities here. We're not gonna do quadratic equations, but yeah.
are math.
But well, thank you. I mean, I definitely feel like I have found my my what's it called, UFO hunting partner. I might drag
Please.
you out to the highway and be
Yeah.
like, let's find some shit
Let's
because
find some stuff.
cool. Because everybody looks at me like I'm a weirdo otherwise.
No,
like
it's
like my
not.
brother-in-law who
It's
was
good.
like,
It's good. That sucks. Yeah. I'm like, and then you feel like
it sucks for him. It doesn't suck
that's
for
what you
me.
have to remind yourself. You have to say that, you know, that they're missing out.
Yeah. It's like you don't want any wonder in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So boring.
I know. Well, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
No, it was a pleasure. It was nice to have you guys show me around and introduce me to the art scene. I forgot to mention that we were standing right outside the FBI building when we were at that reading,
Yeah.
which I thought was a trip. So now
Yeah.
I think that
I
writer's
also
block
work
is a
down there.
psyop.
I like work right by
Yeah.
yeah. I work for the city of Las Vegas. I work technically I work for the government.
Oh, really? Cool. Well,
But, in the
I
art
hope you're not going to get
department, we don't
kicked out
really
for
have
being a kook.
oh, they know.
Well, it's Vegas. I'm sure everybody. I'm sure
I talk about it every day, and they're like,
it's your department.
Yeah.
Really, you do?
Whatever.
You talk about this a lot?
Like with my friends and people that I know. I try not to bother people that I don't know that well with it because.
Well, I feel like I'm gonna try to muscle my way into friendship with you because I don't have anyone to talk about this shit with. So,
Please, yeah. I can introduce you to more of us.
oh, cool, man! I wanna start a cult. Let's get that going.
Let's start a cult. Yeah.
All right. Well,
That's actually my ultimate
goal.
goal in life.
You're gonna
I'm
remote
gonna
sense
start
and
a
then be
cult.
able
Yeah.
to use
I'm gonna
those
learn how to
skills.
do remote viewing. I'm gonna start a cult. Um, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Just keep making art.
Yeah. That sounds awesome. Well, okay. Well, thank you. Anything that we can promote for you? What's your Mary Sabo? Long A's,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. At Mary Sabo with
Yep.
any underscores or periods or no?
I think there's a period and an underscore between my first and last name.
Okay.
And then marysabo.net is my website, my
Your
portfolio
website.
Yeah.
We can always remote view and figure out who got the .com and then go and then abduct.
That's
them.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. She has like a holistic healing website, which is also, I'm like, we should be friends, maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you're part of an experiment and you were split from yourself.
I'm just, yeah. Oh. Okay.
Oh my God. I can already tell we would have a lot of fun just talking nonsense and just making people's eyes fog over.
I'm just like, oh my God.
All right. Well, thank you so much for doing the show. We are on social media. We like and subscribe if you enjoyed our conversation. Comment wherever there is a comment box that you can comment on. And we've got the Patreon. We're still releasing early access episodes are $5 a month. And yeah, thank you guys so much for, I guess I feel like I should say, we just had a really big show at OCC, Orange Coast College at the Frank Doyle Center. And that was amazing. And I just want to thank everybody who came out there because everybody drove like at least an hour, if not an hour and a half from San Diego. So shout out to everybody who participated in that. It was like 30 artists that have been on the show. I'm really proud of that. I barely did anything to make that happen. So lots of thanks to Dakota Newt, because that is like, I mean, it's really hard to remember a better day that I've had, at least in the last 5 years, if not in the last 10. You know, I'm also not like trying to be like, oh, what was a better day? I'm like, no, that was a pretty fucking good day. So thank you guys for being a part of that. That was really, it meant a lot to me. It was very validating. And I feel the support. You know, you do this stuff in a vacuum sometimes, and then you get to have a big party like that. It was amazing. So thank you guys for all of that. And we'll be back next week with another guest and another topic that may or may not be art related. Today was mad art related, even though people will say it wasn't. All right, bye guys.